everybody, I'm Allie with the Potomac Bead Company, and today I am going to make with you the Minnie Bracelet, I'm calling it. So this bracelet, and we're going to spell it Minnie, M-I-N-N-I-E, like Minnie Mouse, reminds me of little bows with the cocoa beads here that we recreated. Both Anna, who did this little sample piece, and myself decided they looked like bows or bow ties, so we decided to call it the Minnie Bracelet. So we're going to fancy this bracelet kind of after Minnie Mouse, and we have that nice red luster, crystal red luster cocoa bead. For the cocoa bead, and if you need any other materials to do this mini bracelet, you can follow along at the bottom where the date stamp is that says when the video was created. Check that out there, and that's going to give you a link to the different products that you can purchase online. So if you're unfamiliar with them, these are the cocoa beads, and we're going to be using approximately 26 to 30 cocoa beads, depending on how many you need. Again, this is the crystal red luster color that we'll be working with and making together here. In addition to the cocoa beads, you are going to use some O beads, anywhere from 13 to 15, not O beads, the round duos. Your round duos, you're going to need about 13 to 15 of your round duo beads, which are going to sit right in the middle of the cocoa beads. I use the zinc iris color of the round duo beads that we'll be creating together. In addition to that, you have a bunch of different seed beads. So I've got some 15Os that we'll be using in the silver lined root beer color. We also have some 11Os that we're using in vintage copper. And we have some 8Os that we're using in the Duracoat silver lined copper. All of these beads are the Miyuki brand seed bead. However, I am going to be using a Toho. So when we go in, we're going to be using the Toho demi round in the 8O size. That's kind of an oddball bead. If you don't have that, simply in its place, use another 11O bead. The 8O demi round is going to be similar in size to an 11O seed bead. So again, that 15O, the 11O, and the 8O are all the Miyuki brand. The demi round is going to be the Toho brand. Finally, down the side of the bracelet, we are going to finish up this mini bracelet with some of the Miyuki twisted bugles. And these are the 6mm, so they're a shorter twisted bugle than you're used to seeing, and we're going to be working with those as well down the sides. The whole thing will clasp off together with a cup button. The cup button color that I'm using is one of our new ones. It's Topaz Light Apricot Fool, and that just kind of gives that nice little shimmer in with it. Whenever you're working, it's a good idea to have a thread zap or a thread burner handy. That's going to burn down our thread. Together, we're going to be using the .006 wildfire beading thread in the white color. I'm choosing the white color because the cocoa beads are see-through, so I don't want to see the normal green thread that I use through the holes of the beads. So that's how you're deciding on the thread color to use. In addition to the thread, you will be using 2 needles. I know some of you hate using 2 needles, but for this project, it makes it much, much simpler. To use the 2 needles, we're going to be using about 5 feet of thread, and you're going to be putting a needle on either end of one piece of thread. In addition to that thread and needle, I usually have a needle nose pliers sitting handy. I use this to flatten out the end of the thread after I burn it off the wildfire spool to put on my needles, as well as if you have to take your needle off at all when you are creating. Again, if you need to list any of these materials, below the video, there's a date stamp that says when the video was published. Go ahead and hit show more on there, and it'll give links to these different products, since some of them may be unique and kind of individualized to you. This project also, like I said, the demi rounds can be substituted with Miyuki demi rounds. They can be substituted with just an 11O seed bead, and your spacing really won't change on this mini bracelet. The other thing that you can change up, if you don't want to use the twisted bugles, you can use the regular bugles, or you can just follow along like Anna did and just use plain 11Os down the sides. So I'm calling this kind of a cooperative bracelet between Anna and myself, coming up with the designs to play around with the round duos and the cocoa beads. The first thing you're going to want to do is we're going to get ready with kind of little piles of all of our beads, except for the twisted bugles. You can push those off to the side. We won't grab those until the very, very end. After you get your piles of beads, go ahead and get some wildfire thread, again about 5 feet of that. I want a needle on each end of the wildfire thread, and you can get ready then for your cup button. Get that out, and we'll get ready to start our mini bracelet. So to begin our pattern, we have our cup button here, and the cup button we're going to put face down so the bowl side is out for our clasp. Inside the cup button, we're going to add just a little bit of color, going with a 15, a demi-round, an 8, a demi-round, and a 15. From there, you're going to let that drop back to the bottom of those 2 needles that we put on. And then we're going to go through the cup button with the bowl side down, 1 needle going through the left and 1 needle going through the right. Let that go down to the base of the thread, pulling the whole thing. And then when you turn over, it's just going to kind of give a little bit of decoration to the middle of that topaz cup button. Coming out the back of the necklace then, the back of the button, we are going to separate the threads, one to the left and one to the right, and get ready to start the project. To start the project, on both the right and left needle, place a 15, an 11, and an 8. A 15, 11, and 8. And let those drop down next to your button. From there, we're going to grab one of the demi-rounds and put both needles through that 8-0 demi-round, going in the same direction. So both needles are going to come through with that demi-round dropping down to the base. What that's going to do is bring those threads in together so you have a starting point when your loop is going to be at the back of the cup button when we get to the other side. From here, we're going to separate out the threads again, and the design is going to start with one of our round duo beads. At the bottom of the round duo bead, we are going to have a 15-0, then you're going to have an 8-0 kind of crossing right in the middle. So where Anna has the 11 O's, I am switching to have an 8-0 there. To start, we're going to get to our position where we cross through the 8-0, which is going to continue throughout the project. To do so, onto your needle, add a 15 and then an 11 on both the right and the left needle. From here, you're going to grab an 8-0, and the 8-0 is going to go through one needle from right to left, and then we're going to crisscross through the other needle from left to right. So you're going to end up with 2 threads through the 8-0, which are going to be equal in length on either side. You want to make sure of that as you pull. And that's going to fall right down next to our little X that we created for our cup button. From here, the 8-0 is just kind of hanging out and getting ready for us to decorate and begin. On the sides of the 8-0, we'll go a 15, and then the demi, and then the 15. From here, you're going to pick up one of your round duos and place it through with the needle going from right to left. On the left side, repeat with the 15, demi, 15. So get our 15 on, our demi, and our 15. We're going to go through that same hole of the round duo, but instead of going in from right to left, we are going to go from left to right. So it's going to switch, so that way when you have your thread and needle coming out, one is going to come out on the right side and one is going to come out on the left side. You can see that just kind of decorates that round duo. From here, the sides will have the cocoa beads extending out. The cocoa beads will get added with an 11-0, then your cocoa bead. It doesn't matter because the cocoa bead doesn't have a left or a right or a top or a bottom. You're just going through one hole of the cocoa bead. Coming out the cocoa bead, go ahead and place on an 11, then your demi-round, 15, 8, and then go backwards, 15, demi-round, 11. Letting that all kind of drop down. It's going to hang out on the right-hand side here. You're going to take your thread and needle and go back through the cocoa bead so it's coming back in towards the project. When you do that, you're going to realize that it's going to sit right next to the design here. From here, put on another 11-0 and take your needle on this right-hand side, put it through the top hole of the round duo, and come out the left. That decoration that we just did there, comes out on the left, and now we're going to do the same thing where our needle comes out of the round duo on the right. So we're going to repeat with the 11, our cocoa, 11, then our demi, 15, 8, 15, demi, 11. From here, go back through the cocoa just like we did on the other side. We're going back through this cocoa that's going to be on the left. When we come out the cocoa bead, put on an 11 onto your needle, and then go through your round duo again and out. So your thread and needle are not going through anything other than the round duo bead. When you give your nice tight pull then, the cocoa beads kind of look like little wings there hanging out on the side of the round duo bead. This is going to be the same pattern that we do throughout the entire sides and the entire base. To progress from one of our collection or one of our sets here to the next set, on your needle, you're going to be basically doing the reverse here of the round duo. We're going to do a 15, demi, 15, 8 with our right needle. Let that drop down, pulling your needle the whole way through. And then on the right, or on the left side rather, which is going to go towards the right, you're going to put your 15, and then your demi, and then your 15, and you're going to crisscross through that 8. So the 8 again, the thread's going to go one needle from right to left and the other from left to right. Crisscross, and that sits right above the round duo. From here, we repeat our pattern that we did at the start. So our repeating of our pattern goes again, our 15, demi, 15. Grab your next round duo, pick a hole, and sew through. On the left side now, you're going to pick up your 15, demi, 15, and sew through the round duo going the opposite direction. From here, we get that nice little X in the middle, and we're going to go back to add our cocoa bead. 11 gets added, cocoa bead, 11, and then the pattern goes back again to the demi, 15, 8, 15, demi, 11. The reason I have the 15s next to the 8 is because I don't want to see a lot of thread as we're coming down and kind of connecting our sides in. You're going to go back through the cocoa bead, give a nice tight pull so that way any extra thread gets hidden, add an 11, and go through that round duo. From here, I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. After I untwist that thread. And on the same thing on the other side, it's going to put that cocoa right above. So again, we go 11, cocoa, 11, demi, 15, 8, 15, demi, 11, because it's the same pattern on both sides of the 8. Back through the cocoa bead, grab an 11, and through the round duo till you come out the top. Give a nice tight pull of each thread. And at this point, you'll have a thread coming out on the right of the round duo and a thread coming out on the left of the round duo. From here, you're just going to build your project the whole length of your wrist. When we get to the point that we're ready to add our loop for our button, I'll come back to you and we'll go from there. So as you progress a little bit further, I just wanted to show you kind of the progression and that kind of zigzaggy effect that's going on. Because of this, you can really make this bracelet your own by making it into a necklace if you like, changing up the pattern a little bit. You can see the progression like I showed earlier of Anna's design from my design, so have fun with it. But you're continuing on that whole 6 3/4 to 7 inches for us to get our loop there on. So keep going with your progression of adding in your little fringe there with the cocoa H's and then, or with the cocoa beads, and then your little round duos in the middle. When you get to the end of the piece and you have all your cocoa beads on, it's time to do the loop for the clasp. To do the loop for the clasp, we're going to pretend like we're getting ready to put on our next round duo bead. Coming out of the round duo, you're going to put on a 15, a demi, and a 15, and then an 8/0. Let that fall down, and it doesn't matter whether or not you're doing that with your right or your left needle. With the other needle, pick up a 15, a demi, and a 15, and crisscross through the 8 just like you would normally. From there, that creates that crossover right at the top of the round duo. We're going to go ahead then with our vintage copper, our 11/0, and you're going to add about 28 or so of your 11/0 seed beads, which are going to be big enough for your loop. So you're going to pour them out and simply take one needle, doesn't matter right or left, and we're going to go ahead and add 28 of our 11s. After we have all of these on the needle, let them drop down next to that last 11 or that last 8/0 seed bead that you're coming out of. And from here then, we're going to go around the loop and go back into the 8/0. So I have my seed beads on here. I'm going then, after I have them all on, going back into that same 8/0 seed bead. So my thread and needle were coming out the 8/0 on the right hand side. I'm going to do my loop going in from the left to the right. Because this bracelet is going to go back down the sides, I'm not going to be coming back up. I want to take this opportunity to reinforce my loop or my clasp. So with the opposite needle, I'm going to go through those seed beads in the opposite direction the whole way through all of those seed beads that you just added. So you're going through those 28 to 30 seed beads again. If you want to, you can also switch up, use some of the demi rounds, use some of the 15/0s, do a peyote stitch loop, which I do on a lot of the other videos. So check out the other videos too if you want to make it a little bit more elegant of a clasp. Also, if you do want to use a regular metal clasp, here's where you add your wire guard or your wire protector and add your clasp as well. After that's done, that loop is good. You want to make sure that's going to fit your cup button, no problem. And then we're going to get ready to come down the outer sides. To get down the outer sides, the first thing we need to do is get to the 8/0 seed bead that is on the outside of the cocoa bead. To do so, we're going to do the same thing on the right and the left needle. On the right side here, I'm going to go down the 15, the 8, or I'm sorry, the demi and the 15. And we're basically retracing our steps. From here, you're going to sew through the round duo, through the 11/0, the cocoa bead, the 11, the demi, the 15, and then out the 8. That puts that thread and needle out on the left-hand side then, out the 8/0 seed bead. The right needle is going to do the same thing, going through the 15 and the demi and the 15. From here through the round duo, 11, cocoa, 11, demi, 15, and out the 8. Our 8/0 seed beads are going to work as our connectors as we come down the sides and add in our seed beads right there along the sides. So from here, we're going to kind of decorate the sides, linking all of those together. To link them together, you're going to go ahead, you can put away your round duos, you can put away your cocoa beads, your 15s, and we're going to concentrate on our 8s and our 11/0 seed beads and our demi round beads. So starting to come down the side here, you can see that I started one side after coming out of those 8/0 seed beads. Now we're going to be adding those bugles and then the demi rounds with it. So you can change up, you can kind of do whatever. Like I had showed you earlier, Anna just ran 11 down the sides. So it's kind of up to you. But all you're going to do to see kind of the pattern there, very, very simple. You're going to grab your demi round, your twisted bugle, and your demi round, and go through the 8/0 along the side. If you want the 8/0 along the side to stick out a little bit more, you can go through the 15, the 8, the 15. So it's kind of up to you what look you want, but I'm just going to continue, like I had shown earlier, doing the project with the demi rounds and those fun Miyuki short twisted bugles. I'm going to lay out that color, and it's just the pattern of the demi round, bugle demi round, through the 8/0 seed bead, continuing down the left and the right side. And like I said, the options kind of here are endless along the sides. So you're just going to continue down each side, right and left, adding in your bugles and spacing out perfectly your cocoa beads. After you're done coming down the left and the right sides of the project, you're simply going to take your thread and needle back up and reinforce the clasp. I'm going to go through the 15 and the demi 11 and cocoa beads with one of my needles, go through the round duo, and then retrace my steps just like I did on the opposite side in order to get to that outside 8/0 seed bead in order to add my bugles and seed beads. I'm going to go up then through the 15, demi 15, and reinforce the clasp as well. That other cording right now, I'm just letting it hang out on the side, that other thread and needle. And as I let it kind of hang out to the side, I'm going to bring it back around here somewhere to the middle, and then we'll get our threads to the same place and we'll simply tie them off. That's a nice thing when you're working with 2 threads. You have a great opportunity to finish your bracelet right away. You're also putting on your clasps and your closures right away, so that helps kind of motivate you to actually finish the project. That is one of the reasons that I enjoy doing 2 needle projects. I know some of you do not enjoy doing the 2 needle projects, but it does help for the simplicity of adding the clasp, or for new beginners too. Coming down the other side then, I'm going to bring the thread back down through that joined demi round and back down towards the round duo beads. And again, because it is the white thread versus the green thread, because I didn't want to see the green through the cocos, you want to take it somewhere kind of towards the back of the project, although this project is reversible, and just do the knot so it is in a inconspicuous place. I'm going to bring my thread and needle back to this side right here, and then tie it off. Once you tie it off, if you want to, you can use that super new glue, or you can simply just tie off and burn. So my threads are back at the same starting place. I'm going to do a square knot, right over left, left over right, and then one more, right over left, and completely tie off my thread. Instead of doing the right over left, left over right, I switch which hands my cord is being held in, and that gets the same effect as that square knot. From here then you can grab your burner, take both ends, burn them down so you have about 1/8 of an inch left on the thread, and then burn those thread end cords down flush against the project. And there you have your bracelet completed. Again, if you need any of the materials for the mini bracelet, you can go back to the beginning of the video, and at the beginning of the video, we have that little date stamp that says when the video was created, the time, and the links to order from me online at potomacbeads.com are there. Also, again, there's that little eye in the right-hand corner, that you can scroll over and get information from there. You can also stay connected with us at PotomacBeads.com. You can join us on Facebook and stay connected through Instagram and through Pinterest. You can also join our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. There's a wonderful interactive group there. Show them what you make. They'll be happy to give opinions and be helpful to tell you exactly what they think and give suggestions, and you're really just going to get inspired by all of the wonderful things that are there and the wonderful things that people create. As always, everyone, thank you again for watching. Thank you to Anna for the fun inspiration. It's always fun, and that's what that Facebook group for beading and jewelry making is great for. Someone gives you some inspiration, and then you kind of go to town with it and make it your own with a little bit of inspiration and design ideas, and really become kind of interactive designers with one another. So Anna and I had fun kind of coming up with this and altering it, and have fun if you get a chance to get all the materials and make this mini bracelet.